the twilight stars gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets that glare, the bombs bursting in air, great proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you very, very much. Okay, please be seated. Good evening, everyone. At last, we've been planning this for months, and the day is here. I want to welcome all of you to our political debate, America in Crisis. I am Irma Gordon. Got that on camera. Yeah. I want to thank the United West for sponsoring and live streaming this debate. Tom Trento, thank you very much. Tom's book. Yes, thank you, Tom. Tom's book on Sharia, Radical Islam, is in the corner table over there. You can also see Tom on Trento Vision, a radio and internet, I can't read my writing, TV show. That is on weekdays from 2 to 3 p.m. On radio, it's WNN 1470. And on your computer, if you punch in www.trentovision.tv, you will always also be able to see him. Okay, makes me think I want to write a book. Hopefully, we are all here to be educated, not to verbally abuse each other. You're going to hear what your own party thinks. Yes, thank you. You're going to hear what your own party thinks about issues and solutions, but you already know what your own party thinks. What you don't know accurately is what the other side thinks. Please listen to each other, become an educated voter, learn both sides of the picture, then make up your own mind and do what's best for America. Thank you, everyone, and God bless America. Applause. I'm not used to applause. I like it, but I'm not used to it. Okay. I would like to introduce our moderator, Kingsley Guy. Kingsley served for 23 years as the editorial page editor for the Sun Sentinel. He retired from the newspaper in 2006, but he continues to write columns for the opinion page. He's also an author of Queen of the Heavens, a novel set in ancient Egypt. It will be available soon at Amazon.com. Kingsley.
Thank you, Irma. That was quite a rendition of the national anthem. Yeah. Does he sing at the Dolphins games? If he doesn't, he should. That was excellent. Are we going to get America the Beautiful at halftime here? Or? No. Okay. Anyway, it's my pleasure to moderate this panel with the distinguished guests for South Florida residents who are highly involved in the political scene, coming from different ends of the political spectrum, we are going to have, I'm sure, a lively debate, and I'm sure a very civil one as well. So, Anyway, the title of this panel is America in Crisis. Now, I think we can all debate the extent of the crisis. America has been in crisis before. It was in crisis in the Civil War, almost destroyed the nation. It was in crisis in 1929 with the Great Depression. It was in crisis in 1941 with the beginning of World War II. It was in crisis during the 60s with the cities burning, the Civil Rights Movement. We've been in crisis before. I think we probably can all agree on that. The question is, how deep is the crisis? What is the extent of the crisis? And foremost, how are we going to get out of it? Today, yesterday, we saw the death in the Middle East of America's ambassador to Libya, focusing attention on that part of the world. That's in crisis as well. Al-Qaeda is still a threat to the United States. Iran, nuclear developments in Iran, which are huge concern to the United States, and a greater concern to Israel, because for Israel it is an existential question. A nuclear Iran has the capability of destroying Israel. On the other side of the world, we've got growing military might of China and some territorial disputes with some of our allies. But we are facing all of these things in an election year with a $16 trillion national debt. And the focus of this election is going to be the economy. A $16 trillion national debt growing at more than $1 trillion a year. It's not doing a good enough job, and some would say an abysmal job, educating the America young people for the jobs of the future. Plus, we are facing a fiscal cliff with tax hikes and spending cuts imminent if Congress does not take action. Yet we have a Congress that seems frozen in its ability to do much at all. The political parties are at loggerheads, and Congress seems incapable of taking action. Now, my first interest in politics started during the Kennedy administration. In the last 50 years, I have never seen the two parties as divided as they are now. So anyway, America, I think, is in crisis. I think it's a crisis that we need to address, and we're going to hear some opinions from some very prominent people involved in politics who will tell us their ideas on how to get out of this. We have obviously 4 guests. I'll introduce them. Alan Bergstein over there. Alan? Alan is the co-founder of B'nai B'rith chapter in East Hampton, New York, and former chair of the Zionist Organization of America, the South Palm Beach chapter. He's taught at Florida Atlantic University and has lectured at various forums throughout South Florida. Among other activity, he writes a column for the BizPac Review, an online publication with a conservative perspective. Jack Schiffrell, boy, how long have I known you, Jack? Going back years.
30 some odd years.
Yeah, I think so. Jack Schiffrell, a well-known Democratic Party activist in Broward County. He served 6 terms as president of the Margate Democratic Club and has been elected 8 times to the Broward Democratic Executive Committee. He's been a delegate at every Democratic convention since 1980. Did you miss going out there in the balloon drop at this convention in Charlotte?
It was an extraordinary experience,
Okay,
but it hasn't been everyone since 1980. I've been to 4.
4, okay, all right. And Tom Trento at the far end. Tom's a business. Tom is a businessman with some interesting educational background. He's got degrees in theology, philosophy, and law enforcement. Trento is the director of the Florida Security Council, an organization specializing in international terrorism research. He's also president of the United West, an organization committed to fighting terrorism and promoting Western values. And we've got 2 down from me, or 1 down from me, Rabbi Barry Silver. He leads the Lador Vador Reformed Congregation in Lake Worth. Lador Vador means from generation to generation, and the congregation focuses on people learning about their Jewish heritage and traditions and passing their knowledge on to others. Rabbi Silver also is a civil rights attorney. So the format is quite simple. We're going to, every speaker is going to have an initial 8 minutes to state their case about an opinion on the crisis in the country faces and what to do about it. After that, we're going to have 4 minutes for cross-examination, where the individual speakers can go at it with each other and ask questions and debate. And then we're going to open it up to the audience. And this is a question period. And please keep that in mind. It's a question period. It's not a period to give your own speeches. We're here to hear these gentlemen and get their ideas and opinions. And then we will be closing it up with each person getting 4 minutes of final remarks. I've got an iPhone over there with a stopwatch on it. I do know how to use that, although there's about 1,000 other things on it I don't know how to use, but I do know how to use that. And I'll be keeping time and trying to keep this thing moving at a quick pace. So we are going to begin with Alan Bergstein, who is going to start us off. Alan?
Thanks, Sir Kingsley. I'm sorry?
From the podium.
Oh, I thought we were here.
No, when you speak.
Now I have to change my whole setup.
Don't take his time away for this, all right? Give him a few minutes.
Why'd you say that?
You gotta start out friendly. Never know what's gonna happen.
Okay, thank you very much. I was settled in there so comfortably. Yeah. What can I tell you? I want to thank you so very much. Before I begin, I'd like to have some time for us to, well, basically remember the 2 people who were killed by the terrorist actions in Benghazi. Are those 4? Well, we only know the names of 2 of them.
But we know that there were 4.
There were 4, but we just know the names of 2 of them. Do you have that list there, Tom,
I do.
that you gave me?
The 2 names were Ambassador Chris Stevens.
Ambassador Chris Stevens.
And Sean Smith.
And Sean Smith, who was an ambassadorial assistant. 2 of the 4 who were slaughtered in Benghazi. I think we should commemorate them with a few seconds of silence. I appreciate that. Okay, thanks very much. I appreciate you coming out to us, and I know Barry Silver, I know Rabbi Silver. I don't know Jack Shafrel, but I'm proud to be on the stage with him. I understand, I just found out he was a member of the Democrat National Committee, so everything that comes out of Jack Shafrel basically is official and comes from Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the Democrat National Committee. So I'd be interested in what he has to say on the topics. I'm not really Republican. I'm a conservative, independent. I don't vote straight party lines. I voted for Bill Clinton. I was unhappy with the first Bush. I go for the individual. If the individual suits my purposes, I vote for that person. If Barack Obama were to run on the Republican ticket, I would not vote for that guy. I believe that a person who tells me, as they often do, I've never voted for a Republican in my life and I never will, well, that's basically a form of fascism, the one-party system, and I don't go along with that. So I would like all of you who have the tendency to vote for the one-party system, for this particular election, forget about that and vote for the candidate. I was raised in a Jewish liberal home. My father was a socialist. A couple of months ago, if he were to hear me talking about being a Republican, independent Republican, he would absolutely have fits. He would say, what are you doing? You know, you're a traitor. But in the past 2 weeks, were my father to have lived through the past 2 weeks, he would say to me, Alan, I'm very proud that you're speaking as an independent conservative against Barack Obama. Even my father, as staunch a Democrat as he was, would side with Tom and me in this debate. You're going to be hearing from the 2 opponents today, Jack and Barry, that Barack Obama is the best president Israel ever had. And they're going to come and they're going to give you instances of where Barack Obama was a good friend to Israel. For instance, they're going to tell you that, listen, he supplied Israel with military equipment in the past 4 years. He's given them the bunker buster bombs. He's given them the money for the Iron Dome missile project. Not so. In 2007, George W. Bush signed a memo of understanding, which I have by my mic down there. He signed a memo of understanding allocating $3.5 billion per year, for Israel's military. In fact, Barack Obama in his 2012 budget, which was defeated unanimously by the Senate, had not 1 cent for the Israel Iron Dome project. You're also going to hear them say, listen, look what Barack Obama did. He had Susan Rice, our ambassador to the United Nations, veto 2 proposals that were anti-Israel. One proposal was for the statehood of Palestine. They're going to say he voted against that. Look how he sides with Israel. That's not so. The year before, in 2010, when he addressed the General Assembly, he looked at the Palestinian delegate and he said, next year, hopefully, you will be a member of this body. He was pushing for Palestinian statehood. Then you're going to hear them say that Susan Rice also vetoed the declaration by the Security Council which blasted Israel for its expansion of the settlements. She did. She did vote to veto that condemnation of Israel. However, it was not of her will. Neither was it of the will of Barack Obama. Because before that vetoing, she said explicitly, I condemn the building of settlements. The United States feels that it is an illegal act. Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State, said ditto. She said the expansion of settlements is illegal. And Barack Obama as well said the expansion of settlements is illegal. But she vetoed it. So I ask you a question. Why did she veto 2 Palestinian proposals? Because this is 2012, and on November 6th, Jews are going to go to the polls. He wanted for Israel to sort of feel, and you, the voter, to feel that he is for Israel. But I'd like to remind you, before you go to vote on November 6th, remember what Barack Obama said to then President Medvedev of the Soviet Union a couple of months ago with an open mic, which he didn't know was open, and you got the truth, which is a rarity in the situation with Barack Obama, but in an open mic you get the truth. He said to Medvedev, go home, tell Vladimir Putin that I can't support the Russian policy now, but after the elections, I'll have more basically of a free will. So he said, the elections are hampering me from doing what I want to do. And I am telling you that Barack Obama says, 4 more years, look what I've accomplished in 4 years. Now I will be unhampered by Jews withholding their funding from me. Jews contribute 65% of the Democrat funding, and they also contribute 78% of their votes to Barack Obama. He cannot mess around with your vote. So he's playing games with you. 4 more years, and Barack Obama is going to show you on November 7th, God forbid you wake up and he's elected president, he will start forces against Israel that will totally, completely amaze you. Next, we have to understand that people speak for Barack Obama. We have people speaking for him in the United Nations, Susan Rice, and we have people speaking for him against Israel. 1 minute. Okay, we have Michael Gutman, our ambassador to Belgium. He said earlier last year to a group of Jewish people in Europe, he said, why there is Muslim hatred for Jews, it is because of Israel's lack of compassion for the Palestinians. We had Leon Panetta say to Israel, get back to the damn bargaining table. Israel has been begging the Palestinians to go to the bargaining table since 1948. And then we had Hillary Clinton, who harangued Benjamin Netanyahu for 45 minutes on the phone dealing with settlements. In closing, my opening closing, I am concerned that if you vote for Barack Obama because you think he's a friend to Israel, once he gets elected, that shroud, that mystique shroud, will be pulled away and he will show you exactly what he is, an enemy of Israel. Thank you very much.
Thank you. 8 minutes exactly. And our second speaker will be Jack Shifrell.
Thank you, Kingsley. And while we have our differences politically, unlike so many people in today's political environment, I'm glad that we can be cordial and friendly and professional to each other. I've considered you a friend for a lot of years. since around 1980, I think it is.
Yeah,
I think it is. That was when I was elected to the school board. Yeah, it was around that time. And your paper endorsed me. Thank you, belatedly. I don't think I'm going to need the 8 minutes for my opening. I just want to kind of lay the groundwork a little bit and say a couple of things. And actually, I guess I really don't have to say very much of anything, because I guess Joe has looked at my notes and has found out what it is that I'm going to say, because he told you beforehand what I'm going to say. He said Jack is going to tell you and Barry is going to tell you. So if he believes that, you know, I don't know how he would know, since the irony, of course, of that is that I really don't have any notes. I have my heart. I have my experience. I have my head. I have whatever knowledge I have gained, and I have what I have paid attention to as hopefully an informed voter and somebody who is active politically. As Kingsley mentioned, I am a member of the Democratic Executive Committee, have been for, actually this was my 9th time being elected. I am not a member of the DNC. I don't know where that came from. I happen to have been an elected delegate to the Democratic National Convention. So that DNC, I happen to participate in as an elected delegate. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is a friend, but nothing that I say, either informatively, hopefully, or in response to anything anybody else said, should in any way be interpreted as an official position of the Democratic National Committee or Debbie Wasserman Schultz, or the president for that matter. I just share with you, as Irma said, my private thoughts as an individual. I don't even speak, even though I have the privilege of serving on the management committee for the Broward County Democratic Party. I am here as an individual, grateful for the opportunity to share my thoughts and my concerns on the current crisis in America. I'll concede that in many ways we are in crisis, but it's not just America that's in crisis. We live in a world that's in crisis. From the Middle East to Pakistan to Europe, economically and politically and geopolitically, in every way you can possibly imagine, there are extraordinary concerns. What makes the crisis that we're going through now more dangerous than other crises that we've had is that we are not opposing a nation state as we have in the past. When we had the Soviet Union as our primary foe, and even with the advance of China in the way that it has, that was something that we could at least have diplomatic involvement. The problem we have today, and the one concession I'll make to my esteemed opposition, is as far as terrorists and other non-government-based organizations, and some of them aren't even organizations, they are ruthless. They don't care about life. They have no respect for human life. They have no respect for civilization as we know it. They have a totally different view of what civilization is. Any group, any individual, any sect that would do what was done yesterday because of a movie that was on YouTube that ridiculed their religion and their beliefs, anyone who would use that as an excuse to kill 4 American diplomats, that, I think, underscores the danger that we are in today's world. So I definitely agree that there is a crisis afoot throughout the world. But there's also some domestic issues that I consider to be a crisis. And I know that my opponents will disagree with this, but I believe personally that the threat to a woman's right to choose, the threat to the privacy that an individual has between themselves and their doctor, is a crisis. and I believe that if Mitt Romney were elected president, that Roe v. Wade would be overturned. I see that some of you disagree with that. I understand, I respect that. You have an opinion that hopefully is grounded in serious thought. You may have your opinion because you believe that life begins at conception, and so that any kind of an abortion, no matter what, as the Republican Party platform says, regardless of any threat or danger to the life of a woman, regardless of any health issues, regardless of rape or incest, that abortion should be outlawed. That's the position of Romney and Ryan, and that would be the position of the Supreme Court justices that they would appoint. I find that to be a crisis. I find their approach to Medicare, where they would turn it into a voucher program, I find that to be a crisis, or a potential crisis. I find their obvious intent to turn Social Security into a program that is privatized and tied to the stock market. The stock market went like this not that long ago. Today it's up here. I find that very fascinating, that the stock market is as high as it is, but the Republicans say that our economy is in a crisis. I would think they'd be happy that the stock market is high, but regardless of that, I don't want Social Security tied to the volatility of the stock market. There are many other issues. I understand that in this particular forum, there's going to be a great emphasis on the Middle East, and particularly the relationship that the United States has with Israel. I certainly respect that concern. I am Jewish. I was raised in a Jewish household. That my father was president of a B'nai B'rith Lodge in Sheepshead Bay in Brooklyn for a number of years, and very, very active in ADL and other organizations. My brother is extraordinarily well involved in ADL nationally and internationally. He's made numerous trips to Israel. My mother was an officer in Hadassah. So I have deep roots and deep concerns. But you know, just as we have people here, such as my esteemed opponents, who have one position on Israel, and other people like myself and Rabbi Silver who have a different position. You know, there are people in Israel who have differences of opinion on these subjects as well. I hope that you'll keep that in mind as we go along and after the fact. Thank you.
Thank you. That's two speakers who hit it at 8 minutes on the second. That's great.
I wonder if the target of that abortion has a brain or a heart. I have found in the third debate in this series of 4 that the left, the Democrats on the left, have to camp on the abortion issue as the most critical, important issue, not only on the face of the earth, not only on the globe, but in this election. And nothing else matters. Everything else is secondary or comes in third over a woman's right to, in my opinion, kill an unborn child. That's not my opinion. That's a scientific opinion. But when one side, ladies and gentlemen, overstates the importance of an issue in a particular election, watch your wallets, okay? Watch your pockets, because a scam is being perpetrated upon you to appeal to your emotional base and not to use your brain and not to use your heart properly to evaluate the critical issues that are before us. This is not a game. These debates are not a game, and this is not a show. Alan and I do not come here because we have nothing else to do. Our desire is to stimulate the thinking, particularly of those who are lockstep into the leftist, democratic, hardcore, nothing else will matter position, and to say something, whether confidently or softly, that may just cause someone to start thinking more seriously about this moment in history that weighs so very heavily as we've seen over the past 24 hours. So thank you, everybody, for coming to these. We have one more a week from today, and right now the room holds 300, and it's booked, it's full. So that's going to be a very interesting debate next week. But in terms of today, America in crisis, you know, we can get caught up quite a bit in the particular metrics, in the analysis, the analytics of what's going on in the world. And yeah, we've all been to Washington and been in big meetings and all of that, and you can get all the experts in, and it's so very, very difficult to work through some of the unique particulars as to some of the solutions of some of these